What is true spirituality? Is it our horoscope, astrology? Is it crystals? Is it frequencies, vibrations, energy? Is it a belief system? Is it found in a book? Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. To understand what true spirituality is, we have to recognize that it is something innate within us, universal, available to everyone. There can be no person on this earth not given the gift of awakening. And this doesn't mean to go from asleep to awakened, but it means to be on an awakening journey. Every wild animal in the animal kingdom has this spiritual sense within them. All life has it. It is, in fact, the miracle of life that lets us be on these journeys. An animal in the wild is at peace, is present, unburdened by yesterday or tomorrow, unburdened by troubles in the world, by the dangers they truly live under. They do not hate their predators. They may be aware of the danger lurking, but they never break down, have a panic attack, cry because the stress of predators existing is too great to bear. And they live in balance with themselves, with their species, and with the entire ecosystem of life on this planet. They know exactly what to do in every moment with extreme confidence and courage. They, in many cases, such as mammals, love their young and nurture them. And they know how to nurture themselves and their bodies. They live in beauty and peace, and they do not seek anything else. The only difference between humans and animals is that we, with our clever minds, can run astray, can become conditioned by a cruel and unjust world. And we are the only species that always has the choice to turn towards spirituality, to our truest nature, to a life of peace and balance and harmony, or to keep running in the opposite direction. Humans are really the only species so clever, so smart, that we can create imbalance. We let ideas infect our brain and prevent us from knowing what to truly make us happy, what to do to truly nurture these bodies, to doubt ourselves, second guess ourselves, and become self-conscious, to build up concepts in our mind so much, and to believe these mental stories over the reality that is right in front of our eyes, and to collect our past and to fantasize about a future, robbing ourselves of this perfect, peaceful, pleasant moment. True spirituality is to commune with life within us, to the nature around us, and to the universe we are part of. When we understand that the universe that we perceive exists in our mind, that it is all coming from that single point of consciousness within us, that underlying all the sense perceptions is this light of consciousness that is non-physical, underlying this physical reality. And we see these strings of connection between us and everything around us. And we see that balance and wholeness emerge. We see how we became out of balance. We see the chaos that is caused in order to restore balance. And we can start to live in a way that brings about a balance within and a more harmonious world around us. We start to see how the way we interact and relate to the people and things around us is so much more important than the people and things around us. We become more loving, gentle, and conscious of the energy we project. And our awareness shines a light that others can see, that show them how they are interacting and relating to us. As we see this oneness, this interrelated nature of the universe, the stories, the stuff, the content of our experience becomes less important, and we become free from our conditioning, from our experience, and from our past. It is through this freedom that we are able to exist in this world without being like that caged animal. Those animals that do become conditioned, that do suffer psychologically and physically. When we discover that inner freedom, we begin to see clearly where we're going wrong as a person, species, society. We naturally want to help others reach their greatest potential. We want to be a beacon of this light of consciousness. Naturally, we want to share it with the world, and it needs it. And so, love, true empathy, the kind of empathy where we don't just hurt because someone else hurts, but the kind where we want to share love because we feel love, where we can actually help people because we're coming from a place of having helped ourselves, not from a place of needing to change someone else, but from a place of just giving someone our peaceful, calm presence and allowing them to benefit from that. Love naturally emerges because love is true spirituality. Because only love can come from oneness. When we truly know oneness and we experience that deep connection and that wholeness with the universe, cruelty, greed, selfishness, jealousy, anger, and hatred become impossible, and only love remains. Love and gratitude. Because gratitude is simply love for what exists, for reality, for this universe, for the gift of existence, the miracle it is. As we go on this journey to love and oneness, many different practices can help us get there. Meditation is a powerful tool for the mind, as is prayer for some, and rituals and ceremonies and traditions for others. Horoscopes, astrology, crystals can all be stepping stones on our path to the top of that mountain. There are infinite paths to the peak, and crystals and horoscopes can remind us when that journey gets hard that it will be okay, that we can take another step. For others, scientific exploration can help us expand our understanding so that we can know on a deeper level what this mountain is made of. Belief in God can comfort us in those darkest moments and give us some sense of purpose and focus for our mind to latch onto. But at the end of the day, we are hiking that mountain ourselves. No one can carry us to the top as much as we wish they could. And we may use a combination of beliefs and techniques to help us on that journey, to help us free ourselves from our mind, from our thoughts, from our conditioning. That is the journey of awakening. But ultimately, we have to recognize that even those techniques and those stories we believe in can only get us so far, because they will keep us locked in thought, locked in a belief system that is constrictive and that can contain our mind. And it will prevent that true liberation, that true freedom, to the point where we don't need to go see a priest. We become the priest. We don't need to see the rabbi or pastor, because we have that inner strength within us. There is no more needing to lean on someone else, because we have discovered that infinite power within ourselves. This is that highest level of self-actualization that we can all reach. We can all be our own guru. We need those pointers. We need those reminders. We need those guides to make sure we're not going the wrong way and that we're not running into danger, and they can show us maybe even an easier path. But if we just stick to someone else's trail, we don't fully conquer that mountain. We need to pave our own path. We need to go off the trail and start exploring. And that explorer spirit defines us as these life forms. That is what it means to be alive on this earth. To soak it in, to savor every breath, to savor this one eternal moment. It's one thing to read a book, hear a lecture, or believe stories. We can think we've got it, that we really believe we're deep believers. But it's another thing to test it and discover it for yourself. And this is why we need to throw away everything we've learned that has filled up our mind, and to see what exists, what remains beyond concepts, forms, labels, and identities. Only when all those stories that are great pointers, just like someone telling you about the moon, is very helpful, and it helps us understand our place in the solar system. But eventually we have to look for ourselves. And if we are projecting the word moon and the concept we've learned about the moon onto the moon, we cannot see the moon. And so we naturally reach a place where these stories, these ideas, hinder us from truly connecting with our spirit, with the deepest level of reality we can touch. And as long as we live in the world of labels, thoughts, words, opinions, and judgments, we will only touch the very surface, superficial level of reality. We will not be able to witness and understand that which cannot be described, the infinite layers and levels of meaning and connection. And we will live in that alone, isolated, separate existence of objects floating in vast, empty space, instead of reality, which is the rich, interconnected, ever-pervading energy that created us and sustains us, that is us, that is always us looking back at ourselves. Whenever I think of this letting go of our mental story, of our systems of belief and past that we are attached to, and the thinking that we are addicted to, I always think of that scene from Star Wars, The Last Jedi. And the reason I think of this is because Star Wars may not be for everybody. It's science fiction, but it is an amalgamation of all of humanity's spiritualities. It is modern day mythology. And in this scene, Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Master, the spiritual warrior, the futuristic samurai, was living on a remote island, on a remote world, where the first Jedi temple existed. Luke felt that the belief in this Jedi order was hurting society, and it was putting a false and blind faith in an ideal that was giving people false hope and could lead to terrible disaster. So he set out to go burn down that Jedi temple, along with the ancient sacred texts. At the last minute, he doesn't go through with it, and instead, a ghost of his former master appears and summons a lightning bolt to set fire to the temple and to destroy the books. And Luke was devastated, as was I. I was devastated. This was like, oh my God, so much knowledge and wisdom. And Yoda, Luke's master, reminds him, you didn't even read the books. These were not page turners. And reminded Luke not to focus so much on the horizon, but to focus more on the needs right in front of your nose. And at first I was so devastated. I imagined, what if all the Buddhist texts were lost? And what if the Hindu and all the religious scriptures disappeared? But I remembered what Yoda was pointing out, that all of this knowledge exists in Luke. And we can get so attached to these stories, to these beliefs and these rituals and traditions, that we completely lose sight of the reality, of the here and now, which is the only reality. Everything else is a distraction that takes us into illusion. And so when the Jedi Order became this organized structure, it lost its original intention. And it lost focus on what truly matters, which isn't any label or group that has separated itself from the rest of this universe. And in a beautiful cosmic coincidence, I actually visited the island where they shot that scene a few years before the movie came out, a few years before they even filmed it. I was traveling through Ireland and had visited this remote island called Skellig Michael, which is one of the earliest Christian monasteries from the 6th century, where monks would live to pray and meditate back when The religion was deeply spiritual. When the stories did not take up all of their time, but they actually gave time to commune with the creation of the universe. They understood this path to heaven on earth in this moment, not through a story, but from freedom from all stories. Thoughts are just words, and words are just pointers. They are not the reality. The word rose will never be a rose. Its fragrance can never be fully described. To understand is to experience. And only when we can let go of all stories, those words that divide us from reality, that divide us from the truth, that disconnect us from the present moment, and that create that world of false duality, only then can we experience oneness, and only then can we understand that true meaning of spirituality, that pure essence of love. Not love for a person or love for a group, which exclude anything, but love for life itself, which is to love this universe, the whole of it, each moment, with no distinction. And discovering that, which is always there, we just have to shed the conditioning, the thoughts, the past, and the future. And we will see that it is the love that remains, that has always been there, and will always be there. And that is our highest state of being. That is the peak of the mountain. Thank you so much for listening. Much love. The audiobook for Aloneness to Oneness, 22 Life Lessons to Change the Way You See the World, has finally been recorded. And this book really dives deep into this topic of what is true spirituality and how can I experience it. So that audiobook will be out soon in a couple weeks. And I even add a few more personal stories and a few other topics and segments in the book that will be exclusive to this audiobook version. So I'm excited to have been let out of the recording studio after having finished it, and excited to get that out to everybody. Thank you again to everyone who has supported this podcast at eastwesticism.org. Your donations and contributions and support of any kind, even just a like, subscribe, comment, review, keeps me going, keeps this podcast operating, keeps the lights on, and keeps this important message that the world needs more than ever freely available to everyone who needs it. Thank you again. Much love. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.